to all listeners of the podcast. I'm aware it might not be the evening from where you're listening to this, but hopefully to a fair few of you that are listening, this could be the evening. This is, of course, my podcasts for my personal project, Henry's personal project, that is. And these are podcasts where we're going to be going over athletes with performance anxiety and how it affects me and how we can overcome it with other people. I'm doing these podcasts, or I've chosen to lay out my information in the form of podcasts because I believe that they are a very good way of digesting content and information. Not many of my friends listen to them, and hopefully I can get them to listen to them. And I really enjoy listening to podcasts. I listen to them almost every day. And I never actually knew how hard it was to record them. As soon as it came to doing this project, I've never tried to record them before, but if you're not used to listening to yourself while you're talking, it's quite confusing. And this first one's going to be solo. Hopefully I'm going to have some more people on in the future, and then it'll be a bit more easy to I guess have conversations, because doing podcasts by yourself isn't the easiest thing, I'll tell you. I love listening to podcasts. I find them such a good way to digest content, and I can just listen to them when I need to do work or anything. There's something that helped me concentrate more as the distinct chatter in the background. It helps me feel like I'm part of a conversation and I'm more aware of what's in my surroundings. Because in school, I don't concentrate at all. School, it's a chatter that isn't useful because I know that I can chime in and give my own opinion, but when I'm actually listening to a podcast, I know that whatever I'm going to say isn't going to be acknowledged by anyone. So I guess it just helps me think in a way that can help me get my work done. Because all the ideas that I'll be listening to from the podcast, I can keep to myself, and it becomes a very good way to just learn about other things and maybe about yourself. Performance anxiety, I meant competitive. For example, it's anxiety and worry that you get when you're about to compete in a big sporting event, or just in any sporting event where there's other people. Anxious athletes commonly report the following, where they play so well in practice but mess up in games. They're so nervous in games that they get sick to their stomach. They become so anxious in competitions that they can't concentrate. They always fall apart when the game is on the line, or they get so nervous that they don't even enjoy sport anymore. Not all of those ones apply to me, or they could not apply to you. But the ones that stuck out for me was I play so well in practice but mess up in games. That is very true. For some reason, whenever I step on a paddle court or a football pitch, everything that I've ever learned just leaves my mind. And it's something that I want to learn to overcome, and that's hopefully what I'm going to do with this project, and hopefully I can help you guys as well. Another one that sticks out to me is that I'm so anxious in competitions that I can't concentrate. I have a very short attention span on the football pitch or on the paddle court, because those are the two sports that I'm used to playing very often, as I competed for England in the World Junior Paddle Championships in 2017. And when we were there, we didn't do very well. It wasn't just down to the competitive anxiety. I wish I could say so, but it was mainly down because we weren't prepared enough, but that's besides the point. And the one that affects me the most is that I get so nervous that I don't even enjoy sport anymore. That is the worst one to me. Many times have I contemplated quitting sport because I just get too nervous and I just don't feel like playing anything. And I actually did take a break from football to play paddle for 6 months, because I've been playing football for my entire life pretty much since the age of 4, and now I'm 15. So it was a big shock to me, because and in those 6 months where I took a break from playing football, that's when I realized how much I loved playing that sport. And when I came back, that actually helped me gain more confidence, even though I haven't played it for 6 months. I would like to share a story of a famous athlete, Graham DeLaet. He's a 34-year-old golfer and 7 PGA Tour veteran. And he felt very nervous when it came to chipping and pitching when preparing for the 2016 Memorial Tournament, that he withdrew from the event and took a break from competing in tournaments. This is very similar to what I had experienced. Obviously I wasn't going to play in a big tournament, but it's just I needed to take a break from football to compete in the paddle championship. But in the leading up to the paddle championships, I didn't necessarily get nervous because I was practicing with people around me who I knew and grown up with. And more so the fact when playing football, whenever we'd be training for a big game during the week, and when it came to the weekend, I would get so nervous I just didn't want to play. Dilette here, he says, a lot of fear standing over chip shots for whatever reason. I mean, it's something I've never really been through in my entire career. It's a weird phenomena. It's something that you've never experienced because it can just spring onto you out of nowhere. And he had been playing golf for 22 years and never experienced such paralyzing anxiety, which further adds to just you're not prepared for anything. Anything can come at you when you're playing sport. And it's all in his mind. He continues saying, I've been playing golf since I was 12 years old, and this is kind of strange, but I'm working through it right now. I want to hopefully learn through this project myself how to get back on track mentally with sport, same as Dilette, because he actually signed up with a sports psychologist, and he had seen some mental improvements in his work. And the final thing from him is, I'm getting better all the time, and I know that it might just take one good shot under pressure to know that it's in there and kind of change that confidence level. The rest of my game has been really, really good, and I'm optimistic that I'm going to turn it around. This quote resides with me because whenever I do something well on the football pitch or make a really good paddle shot, that's when you sort of build up your confidence. Because once you first step on, it's weird to get that mental level where you know where you're playing, and if you get on and you start losing points, missing shots, it's so hard to get back up and get back to performing properly. This story of Dilette is proof that athletes can learn mental strategies to cope with anxiety and perform confidently. And I want to learn how to do this, and hopefully I can show you guys where to get some more confidence when you perform in sport if you do have some performance anxiety. 4 tips here to overcome performance anxiety, just quick tips that I can share with you, is understand what the fear is all about. Are you afraid to disappoint others, for example? I am afraid to disappoint others. That's one of the main reasons that I do get performance anxiety on the football pitch or on the paddle court. It's the people who are around you who, when you mess up, you hear them sigh, and that's just when your life takes a complete 180. The second reason is challenge the rationality of your fear. What's so important about it? Come to think of it, I don't think I've ever done that. So in my own time, I'm going to try learn to challenge the rationality of my fear, because I think what this point means, because I'm reading this off Peak Sports, they did document this story, and I think this means seeing how severe the roots of your fear are. So I don't actually get nervous or anxious even when I'm playing in a big competition. Like I recently competed for the school in the ISAA championship where we won. And there I didn't feel nervous at all. I knew what we were there for, and it was a big tournament that we'd all been training for. But it's more so random games during the week, or whenever I'm playing with mates when I get nervous. I just can never feel to express myself fully and show what I really can do. Sorry about that, it's a bit windy in the background. Number 3 is learn how to embrace competition pressure rather than fear you'll fail or feel disappointed. I've never tried to embrace competition pressure. It's not been something programmed into my brain to try and do. I always feel disappointed whenever I do something bad, or I always get scared. I'm not gonna lie. Always get scared when competition pressure is rising. And the final tip here is understand the reason you put in hours a week in training is to have fun and trust your skills in competition. Yeah, I don't ever put trust into myself. I never have confidence in myself, even though I do play football 4 to 5 hours a week, and I've been doing that for last 4 years of my life. So pretty much my goal in this personal project is obviously create an outstanding personal project, write up podcasts, want them to be all enjoyable to listen to, and I want a lot of people to listen to them. Hopefully I can help them, but it's also to help myself. I want to gain something personal out of this project, out of this product, and out of this project. I want to see what can take me from being a normal level athlete to a great athlete just by overcoming performance anxiety. Because I think that is the main reason holding me, or the main obstruction that's holding me back. I put the hours in, and I have a good work ethic. I hope that at the end of this project I can overcome performance anxiety as well as many as you. So that was the story of Dillet and his story of performance anxiety as well as mine. Now I want to get into why I think podcasts are such a good way to digest content and why I think more people should listen to them. And I think that podcasts are they're very versatile, because you can have podcasts about literally anything, and if you don't like one podcast, just hop onto a different one. Because sometimes I'm in a mood where I want to listen to stories, so I'll go onto podcasts which have famous guests on who I know about, and I actually want to learn off them. Or if I want to learn something new, I'd go on a podcast that would actually teach me something, so an educative podcast. And I don't think a lot of people use these. I listen to podcasts when I'm on the bus to school, because I do take the bus to school in the morning, or when I walk my dogs, and that is a solid 1.5 hours of listening to podcasts a day, seeing as I do those two things daily, and I'm on the bus for around half an hour and I walk my dogs for about an hour. Not that that's relevant, but I don't find myself listening to podcasts outside any other time, unless I am on the weekends and I just want to kick back, do some work, and I put in a podcast just so I can have that, as mentioned earlier, the chatter in the background where I feel like I'm part of a conversation, but I can't actually say anything because there's no one to listen. It's a weird mental stigma that I have, or it's just a weird mental block that I have, that I just can't do work if in complete silence. I find that extremely hard, and then if I'm listening to music or an alternative, I'll be tapping my feet, or trying to lip sync the words, and it just gets me on my concentration. And I know many of my friends, and I know many people do have that problem as well. Another reason to listen to podcasts is that you can just learn more about people who you look up to. So a lot of sports podcasts will have famous sports athletes on them, and sorry, and a lot of sports athletes, they have interesting stories. A famous one is the True Geordie podcast, who I'll admit he's a bit difficult to understand with his Geordie accent, but he makes really good podcasts. They're very good quality, and he has guests such as Tyson Fury, other sports stars on them, like English footballers, English boxers, and yeah, it's a very good way to listen to them, or a very good way to gain information about your favorite athletes and such. I want to try and find people to have on my podcast, such as sports psychologists or just sportsmen in general. Ask them if they've ever felt any performance anxiety in their life and how they overcame it. Maybe I can apply that to my sporting, and you can apply it to your sporting, because that is my main goal with this project, is to try and find some benefit of this to you and me. And yeah, hopefully we can learn something about ourselves and overcome something. I'm going to conclude this podcast now. We're about 14 minutes in. The ones in the future will be fairly longer, because hopefully it won't just be me speaking to myself and trying to run the podcast for myself, because I think I'm very good at that. And yes, that is all. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.